Launched at EICMA in November 2018, the MV Agusta Superveloce 800 was also on display at the London Motorcycle Show earlier this year, and after I saw it and captured some footage, I had to make a video about it because, in my opinion, this is one of the most beautiful new motorcycles in the world right now. But it's heavily based on MV's existing F3 800, and that's much like some other retros in the market at the moment, like the Kawasaki Z900 RS being built upon the Z900, or the Suzuki Katana being derived from the GSX S1000. So is this just a quick reskin to cash in on the buoyant retro market, or is it a genuine increment on the existing F3? I've scoured the internet for every piece of information I can find out about this concept bike in the hope to find out. So let's start with the basics. The motor, frame, suspension and brakes all look to be the same as the stock F3 800 that it's based on. This is by no means a bad thing. The F3 already kicks out 148 horsepower at about 13,000 revs from its 798cc triple, and it's reasonably lightweight too, with a dry weight of 173 kilos. You also get upside-down Marzocchi forks, a Sachs monoshock and Brembo radial monoblock disc to boot. The F3 also has pretty up-to-date electronics. It's got a TFT display, ride-by-wire throttle, 8-level traction control, and of course stuff like ABS. And it all appears to be carried over to this concept bike. You can even see that the fuel tank is the same as that from the F3. So what's actually changed? The most visible change to the bike is the bodywork. It's now got full carbon fairings with completely hidden fasteners to give it a really clean look. And the overall shape of the bike echoes back to MV Agusta GP bikes from the 60s and 70s, especially in the red and silver paint on display here. The lighting also adds to the retro character of the bike, so you've got a round yellow LED headlight that sits in a really nicely machined bezel, and the yellow windscreen only adds to the old school vibe. The headlight is echoed by the beautiful round LED tail light, which brings the whole tail section to a nice lean point. That's one of my favourite features on the bike by far. I also love the addition of a tank strap and this much more ornate filler cap, and it looks like a really clever way to make that F3 tank, which I presume they use to keep the project quick and relatively cheap, look more in keeping with the rest of the bike's retro feel. Another significant departure from the standard F3 is in the wheels. These spoked rims appear to have come from Kineo, and they straddle modern and retro, with the spokes being grouped into fours. It's not the first time that MV and Kineo have collaborated. If you look at the Kineo website, you'll see lots of wheels available for MVs. But I also noticed that when Lewis Hamilton launched his own edition of the Brutale, Kineo wheels were used there too. Moving back to the subframe, this has been redesigned from the F3 as well, and it's got a much more conical shape. The MV website says that it can be reconfigured from a single-seater to one that takes a pillion, and I'm not clear on whether that means taking off the entire subframe and swapping it out for something with a bit more space for a passenger, or simply removing the shroud and attaching foot pegs to the blanking plates that can be seen on this bike. If it's the latter, it's going to be one hell of a ride for the pillion. Last up, and one of the real standout pieces of the bike, is the exhaust system. Developed with SC Project, it's a 3-1-3 asymmetrical layout with 2 silencers on one side and 1 on the other, which is something that you'll see on MV Agusta GP bikes of yesteryear. According to my research, they've remapped the engine to fatten up the mid-range and give it a bit more top end, as well as fit in a freer flowing airbox system. MVs say the changes increase final power, but they don't say to what, and I suspect we won't know until the production version is announced. And I guess that's always the threat with a concept like this. Some folks were disappointed, for example, with Indian's FTR 1200, after the concept bike looks so aggressive and different to anything else on the market. I really hope that MV can keep this bike as close to the concept as possible when it's launched in the latter half of this year, but according to an interview with the design director Adrian Morton in Super Special magazine, he says that one of the problems with the neo-retro scene is homologation. They'll definitely have to add mirrors, indicators and a number plate holder, which I hope won't ruin that absolutely perfect tail section. I'm also wondering about the yellow headlight and screen. Perhaps those will be clear or white. And will the Kineo wheels and SC Project exhaust really come as stock? They both seem like pretty expensive items, and manufacturers love to eke out a bit more cash from their customers at the moment by selling their own official aftermarket parts. Only time will tell, but I'll definitely be looking forward to seeing how it turns out. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is, for me, one of the most beautiful bikes out there at the moment. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, please hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.